Today, folks, we've got the opportunity to talk with Glen Kallgren about his professional journey, what he's learned building businesses, building teams, building himself. And Glen, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to pour into the business community and share your lessons learned, um, and help those who choose to watch this video to learn and stand on your shoulders going forward. So again, I'm Kevin Alft, CEO of Action Coach of DFW and Action Coach of Texas, and it's an honor to have 15 minutes with you today. Glen, thank you. You want to build a little runway on your background?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate the opportunity to join you this morning. I have a technical degree, engineering degree from University of Arizona. And in those days, I needed money. I was a kid that I wasn't fast enough to get an athletic scholarship, and I wasn't smart enough to get an academic scholarship. So I joined the military and spent 8 years active duty in the military as an Army officer. It served me well. Got out and went right to work for General Electric as a regional sales manager for their silicone products. And that's when I moved to Texas. So that was 1997, so 27 years ago. Since then, I've worked within the sealant and adhesive industries for the most part, both with US-based companies and international companies, and commercial and residential type construction. So the last 15 years or so, I've been the head of sales, taking businesses that had nothing, really starting at a warehouse of nothing and creating a business of $8 to $10 million so that they had a footprint here and they felt comfortable in doing an acquisition. And then I just finished up a role with Selena Global, which was Selena USA, running the business here for the last decade or so, both as the sales director and then as the CEO of the company. And so we just parted ways on a very friendly path, and I'm wishing them the best. And I'm looking for my next new opportunity to continue my career, Kevin.
Thank you, Glen. So Glen, you mentioned that you've had significant growth in the organizations that you've led. What do you attribute that growth to, Glen?
Kevin, a lot of it is common sense. It's really finding out what you're very, very good at doing, and where your competitive opportunities are. And then, basically read the shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, repeat. The success really comes from don't try and be everything to everyone. The United States economy is big enough that you can specialize and be the very, very best at what you do. Obviously, if you're going to put together a multi-billion-dollar a year company, you have divisions that do that. But what I saw, especially at GE, they tried to be too broad, and they thought that a manager of, let's say, plastics could be a great manager of GE finance. And those skill sets aren't necessarily the same. So really just be laser focused and be the best at whatever you do.
Okay, very true. So as you look at the growth, what difference did it make in terms of having the business clearly define its uniqueness? So if you have a story or two around how you define your uniqueness and how that accelerated growth versus just being a me too, saying great service, great quality, which everyone could say.
Sure. I saw it at first on a cost benefit analysis, particularly the technologies coming from Europe. I'll use my latest or the most recent opportunity I had with Selena. They were experts at really maximizing volume of a product. So, the cost per unit was lowest, as well as temperature ranges. And so we saw that there was a unique opportunity, that it was better than anything else on the market. And then from there, we took that same base technology and started doing other applications with it. So we went from an air sealing product to an adhesive product that, it was 10 times, 12 times as effective as what was traditionally available. So it was just seeing what core values and core technologies the company had, and then what applications can we apply them to?
Well said. Yeah, core technologies or capabilities and how to apply them to the marketplace in a differentiating way. Because it can be capabilities as well. Technologies, capabilities, and apply how to apply to the marketplace.
Absolutely.
Nice. So as you think about the teams you built over time, what are the biggest learnings you've had as an employer over the years, the various places you've worked?
So, I guess, Kevin, there's a couple things, three things I'd like to highlight. One, I absolutely don't believe in this, we are family um, concept that you hear a lot of companies spout. I think it's disingenuous, and I think it turns people off when they hear it because, I cannot show up at my family's house for Thanksgiving for 3 years in a row, and on year four, I'm still welcome. Try not showing up at your job with no excuse for the next 3 weeks and see if you're still welcome back on week four. Your job is not your family. It doesn't mean you don't feel familiar type emotions for them, but to say that the family, it's not. It really isn't. And to pretend that you are is disingenuous to the employee, and I think it's falseness to them, and it starts eroding trust right off the bat because you're putting out something that clearly isn't true. The second thing is that you're going to find different skill sets among different people, which I know sounds obvious, but what I learned is that the talents that make someone a very, very good, let's say, regional sales manager does not mean they will make a great sales director. Some people do max out at certain skill sets and certain levels and positions within organizations, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think I made a mistake that, I promoted someone from within that really didn't have the skill set to do it. And then, I didn't address it probably quick enough. And so, I guess the third thing that I really, really learned, and, it was sort of what we were referencing a little bit earlier in our discussion, is that I think it's absolutely critical for the entire senior management team to have a outside mentorship program. And I think it has to be formalized, just as performance reviews are formalized, that these things go on. I think it's worth every dime and every minute and hour spent doing it, that every senior leader in the company has an opportunity to pair up with someone that's professional and actually assigned to do it and formalize it. So it's not just a call between a guy that you were working with and you kind of got along with, but a professional mentorship that's set up so that you can bounce ideas off of them. I think what I've seen a lot of companies fail at, and why they fail, is that they start falling in love with their own product or their own service, and so they start making decisions based on what they think and not what the market's thinking. I take an example of even messaging. We had an adhesive for subfloor, and we were messaging that it's 12 times as strong and this, that, and this, which meant nothing to the marketplace. What did it do? It stopped squeaks. That's all it had to do. All we had to say is it stopped squeaks, and then make the point to distribution and things. It's cheaper, okay, but it stops squeaks. It's the only function it does. Instead, we were so in love with our technology that we went through these iterations of explanations. But going back to if that marketing person had a professional mentor that they could bounce these ideas off on what message we're going to do, I don't think it would have happened. And I think that if I had, even for myself, had a professional mentor, I probably would not have promoted this individual, and I would have saved my own organization a lot of heartache. So it's really, really important to have someone outside the organization that isn't married to the organization as far as, and dealing with the details and the emotions that we sometimes get into as human beings, to really be able to just have a conversation with and get honest feedback.
Very, very, very true. That outside perspective is extremely valuable. Very valuable. So appreciate you bringing that up, Glenn. You know, the formalized mentorship program and the fact it's formalized that they agree. Yeah, there's a mentor mentee.
Yeah, it's I don't know why we think it's acceptable to or desirable, I shouldn't say acceptable, desirable to have a formalized evaluation process and not have the same thing on a formalized advice process to just check in with senior leadership, whether it's once a month, once a quarter, and to have a structured phone call for an hour. What's going on in the business? What challenges have you had, successes or failures, questions you have, and not just that, a 911, oh my God, this just happened. What the heck do I do about it call? Yeah.
So I'll use the term proactive, a proactive mentorship program, not, yeah, an emergency hotline. And be
Yeah, exactly.
reactive.
It's brushing your teeth instead of going to get a root canal.
Amen to that. Very good. So if you go further, a bit further on employees, what qualities, have you looked for, or do you look for in employees as you build these great teams? And how do you foster a positive, productive work environment, Glenn?
Well, I think number one, trust. People sometimes accuse me of being a little naive, but I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. But you can't. People won't trust you unless you trust them. And so, for me, it's you have to find that person that almost has a childlike exuberance, that really believes that the best day of their life probably hasn't happened yet. So I look for the people that are just weirdly passionate, and the industries that I've been in are not particularly sexy or cool or cutting edge or whatever. But I enjoy the human interaction. I enjoy the win. I enjoy being better than anyone else out there. And I try and surround myself with people that are just like me, as far as that exuberance, not the skill sets and not the thought processes, but that have passion. Um, Anyone can do the job. It's not that difficult to do a specific job. I mean, obviously, if you're doing surgery or things, but a lot of the things we do, they're not person specific. What makes organizations successful are the people that do them that have the same core values. So I look for people that are very, very passionate about what they do. Um, I believe you can teach people skills a lot easier than you can teach them integrity, work ethic, passion, just that insane urge, to want to win, and that, on the flip side, just the absolute pain of losing. I hate loss. I hate losing the game. I love winning and I hate losing. And I don't know how you teach that. I think it's either ingrained in you or not. I think if you look for folks that have been in competitive sports, um, or even competitive anything, truly someone that wants to compete, because we don't get better by just doing what the person behind us did. We get better by improving on what came before us.
Well said. Very well said. So as we wrap up, and yeah, that internal drive to succeed, they've got it or they don't.
Yeah, I don't know how you teach it, Kevin. I mean, you can teach someone how to, sell a product and products and features, and your USP, and to use Salesforce, and come to Corn Ferry, engagement, and get all the questions back. You can teach all the sales techniques in the world, but it's that person that sees a business they've never called on Friday at 4 p.m. and says, I gotta stop and see what that's all about, because they just have a weird curiosity. It's almost being like a nerd about business. Yeah.
Very much so. And you look at the most successful business people, you could say that they're definitely nerdish about business.
Yeah, they truly are.
Bill Gates, on and on and on.
The
Elon.
late Steve Jobs, if you look at Zuckerberg, I mean, some of these guys, Elon Musk, I mean, He couldn't be a bigger nerd, but he's having a good time. Yeah.
Oh, amen to that. Yes. So that's a very good way to say it, Glenn. A weird curiosity and nerd about business. An internal fire that is
Yeah.
there. It's
And then can't
stoked in
understand
me.
why people aren't doing it too. And that's one thing I respect about Elon Musk is that he doesn't accept that you're not as fired up as him. And if you don't want to go to a different organization, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's business. Yeah.
Amen. So back to the one of the points you made, our founder Brad Sugars taught me just a couple of years ago. He and I were heading to a hockey game. It's 2020, so it'll be, I guess, 4 years ago now. And it's February of 2020 and January. And he was saying, you know, Kevin, one of the lessons I've learned over time is there's a distinction with being friends versus being friendly, or being friendly versus being friends. Be friendly to staff, don't become friends, because then it's almost impossible to manage them. And then we've done, as a leader or manager, we've done them a huge disservice. If we've broken
Kevin,
that barrier, pardon?
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just funny you said that because I had to tell a couple folks within my organization a couple different times. These people are not your friends, and it's not that they're your enemies, but they're not your friends. Don't treat them as your friends because they have an agenda, and their agenda may not be yours. It doesn't mean you're rude to them. Like you said, be friendly, be polite, be courteous,
Yes.
but realize they have an agenda, you have an agenda. They're not your friend. Yeah.
But it just makes it nearly impossible to manage them any longer. And if we can't
Exactly.
manage them, their performance is not what it could be, and therefore their income isn't what it could be, and their career path isn't what it's going to be or could be. So we've really,
Yeah, yeah, and you've set yourself up to have some real HR problems that they start
well,
acting in a
that
way.
as well. But for me,
Yeah,
just, and I teach business owners, look, you're doing your team a massive disservice if you choose to become friends with them. Friendly, awesome. Friends, no, because then they're just not going to excel to the extent that they could.
no, and
So
then I even go back to that point about having that professional mentor on that, because you do have to have someone that you can bounce ideas off of. And fortunately, I had a very good COO in my former role who was mature enough that we could move into a deeper relationship of trust and friendship, kinship. But I wouldn't recommend it. Definitely not, because if I had to do it over, I wouldn't have. I mean, I just got real lucky on one person that could keep those barriers and those boundaries, I should say,
sure.
in place versus, others couldn't. And you're doing yourself, you're doing that person, you're doing the organization a huge disservice. And if you need that, and again, I think every leader needs to have someone outside the organization that they can just sort of talk to.
Yeah.
It sounds so basic, but none of us do it. I should say none of us, but a lot of us don't do it, and it's not formalized. That's the thing. It's when you need a root canal, you find your mentor, but you don't go for your regular cleanings to a mentor, and that's what I think would stop some of those root canals. Yeah.
Exactly. Be proactive in the root canals. You have fewer of them.
Yes, sir.
If any at all.
No.
Well, Glenn, this has been quite awesome. So we covered a lot of territory. The lessons are profound for business owners, executives, managers to take heart in. Any last words before we wrap this up today?
No, I appreciate being able to share, some of my experiences and the things I've learned. And I'm just looking forward to whatever that next opportunity is out there, because I know it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely, especially with your approach. So thank you. Greatly appreciate it, Glenn.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Yeah.